raising awareness through every track. All-Star PD Sportscast on the rise, shouting loud, reaching the skies. Can't stop, won't stop, our game is strong, fighting Parkinson's all day long.
Greetings, this is Lou Holtz, and I want to welcome you to this very special show. It's put on, of course, by Tim and George on their PD Sportscast. But the primary reason why I'm here is because one of the things they are going to try to cure is Parkinson's disease.
Welcome everyone back to another episode of All-Star PD Sportscast with your hosts, me, I'm Sharon Son George, Dr. George Ackerman, and my co-host and my very close friend, Tim from my PD party. Please follow him, support him. We're becoming even closer every day due to the show, but really because of what everyone's going through. The holidays are coming, sports is going on, which is great. It keeps our mind off things, but it'll be tough because my mother, unfortunately, is no longer here due to Parkinson's, and Tim is still battling every day, and that's why I love the show, because we're here for him, we're here for all of you, but even more importantly, we're here to talk some football today. Welcome, Tim.
Love it. How you guys doing today? What is shaking? George, how are you, my good friend? I'm so honored to be doing this with you again. I think today is going to be a great show. I love talking about football in general, but I think it's very important to talk about how football could help with Parkinson's, how Parkinson's could be somehow related to football and concussions. And actually, you're finding more and more as we go that some of these celebrities and top players are coming out with Parkinson's, and they're using their forum for this platform to bring awareness to it. And I think that's very important to talk about. I know that you and I on the side, we've shown some videos that we've had from Brett Favre. You did a tremendous interview with Bernie Kosar. And these are two huge names in the industry that can bring awareness to this. And I think that it's important that people know their stories as well.
Yeah, Bernie, shout out to us. He's going to come on the show. We just don't want to overwhelm him yet, but I will. And he did promise he'll be on, so that'll be exciting. Get you two together. He's a great guy, and he really stole the show, which we concentrated more on my show about Parkinson's, not football. So today, or when he comes on our show here, I'm going to concentrate a lot more on football. So I hope I'm not left in the dust, because I love every sport, but my main one is basketball, which I won't get into. But the LeBron James, I love him, but my God, they're 0-5, I think now, like the last 5 games. And Bronny was sent to the G League, and
I know.
that's for a different show. But I'm also representing as you know, I just had shoulder surgery, and I feel like I'm fitting the part for football. So we'll take this off, because I always tell you, Parkinson doesn't take a rest, so I won't until we find a cure. So representing my alma mater here, FAU. We didn't even have a football team when I went there. You could see it's too big on me. But I wanted to represent college football too, even though we touch on a lot of different sports. But I love your gear and your colors today.
Sure, got my Fighting Irish. I'm presenting them well. I feel kind of just like you. We didn't speak about it, but we're both representing college a little bit, so I think it's fun.
And I'm in Florida. I told you, one of the worst experiences in my life wasn't because of the football, but took my 3 children, my wife, and my mother-in-law to a Dolphin game last year. Unfortunately, I had ankle surgery, usual something. So I had to walk like 10 miles from the car to the stadium. And the worst wasn't even that. We got there, we're sitting down. And I guess if you've been to the Miami Arena, if anyone out there, half of it for some reason is in the sun and half of it is in the shade. We had these beautiful seats, almost like 5th row, right in the heat. And my kids didn't last more than 3 minutes. So it was a complete disaster. We never
do that on purpose. They designed the stadium that way on purpose because they wanted the
right.
teams to be like 10 degrees warmer than the Dolphins. I mean, listen, anything for an edge, right?
But they didn't tell us. So anyway, but I do want to touch now a lot about this important topic, that's sports. And this is an interesting one as we talk, because it's not, we kind of concentrate on slowing the progression, and I'll keep this out today, and how important it is to do exercise and sports. But the opposite is actually shocking. And we'll get a little later into some of the research, but it shows, and some research might show that individuals like NFL players, college, may gain the diagnosis of Parkinson's due to football and the hitting and a lot of other tragic things. So I'm not sure I'm a big believer of it. Of course, I'm not an expert, but I'm more of an environment person. However, we see more and more people now in the NFL coming out and, public, like you said, Bernie and Brett Favre, most recent. And oddly enough, this Thursday, I'm going to meet Tim Tebow, to
Oh,
give him
great.
yeah, I'm not a huge fan of him. I don't know much about him, but I know his unfortunate his father has Parkinson's, and he's a legend in the sport and someone we don't have much free time because of work, but I really am gonna take a little time. Don't think I'll be able to get to him, but at least we'll get a photo of him and we can talk about that in our show too. But there's another one that just seems to be getting more awareness, but for the sadder reason.
Right. And I'll tell you the truth, George. I mean, even, I mean, I know that we're talking about Parkinson's here, but it's just football and brain injuries in general. I mean, if you look at a guy like you're wearing a Dolphins hat, you're a Dolphin fan just like I am. You know,
Mhm.
their quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. I think he's had about 4 concussions in 12 months. I mean, it, it, who knows what that's going to lead to down the road as far as brain injuries go. You know what that could lead to. But I mean, at some point, it's got enough is enough. It's about quality of life. It's about your future. It's not about money. You know, I mean, take it from somebody like me who at one point in his when he was younger was driven by money, and as we all are, you know, running a family. But I know right now I could have $1 zillion. I can't put that on a doctor's desk and say cure my Parkinson's. At some point, it doesn't become about money. It's about quality of life and what's right for you and treating this disease. So, you know, like you said, you know, the studies are still ongoing as we speak as far as what brain injuries can do with NFL athletes and what it means down the road. But it's definitely something that they need to keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah, and also even now the younger kids, coming up in the world and the children, I don't know how many parents even have second thoughts of even enrolling their little kids in these big leagues and then college, another one. A lot of college players don't go to the pros and now they're stuck, alone, not going to get the funds and the support like they need if they don't go to the NFL. And also the NFL, we wrote to them, as you know, and I did, and I didn't get a response. So I hope someday we will get them represented on the show. But to talk about more awareness for Parkinson, I know the NBA has a little just because of Mr. Brian Grant, but I don't see enough with football at all talking about it. And although it affects 1 million, I think a lot more in the US, it's growing numbers, but it's something if they grabbed a hold of any of these professional leagues, if you're listening out there and the media and talked about this more, it might kind of bring some important change. But it's a very violent sports, one of the most famous, like Ultimate Fighting or UFC, but
Sure.
it's really shocking that, some individuals just ignore these things and possibilities. And I couldn't believe when I spoke to Mr. Kozer, who yelled at me and said, call him Bernie, but I can't.
Bernie,
Yeah, he said it, but he's had like honestly almost thousands of surgeries. I was
it's
shocked, like
crazy.
just on the brain, but he'll talk more after the show. We'll talk also about how to schedule because they didn't want to have football. So, but he will definitely come. Hopefully, the new year. And we have some exciting thing next month. The show's never going to end because so many topics. I think about so many things, and just exciting to be here with you. So let's talk a little now. Maybe you can start us off about football and how NFL's back big time and some of your favorites. I'll let you deal a lot more with the football because my favorite players, and the last time I really watched, I will be truthful, was when Emmitt Smith and Troy Aikman won. I think that was, I don't know why, maybe I had a little more time as a kid, but I was addicted to John Madden football video game. I knew every player and every team, every play. And then for some
All
reason,
the rankings.
after they won, I just never kind of watched again. So I try to keep abreast of all this topics, but there's, so much like fighting for a cure that I concentrate on. But maybe you could kind of speed everyone up to the current situation in NFL, who's doing well and things like that.
Yeah, listen, I'm a huge football fan, and I will, you know, one thing that we didn't speak about in the pre-talk here, but I think is very big for somebody who's a football fan and somebody who quite frankly might be suffering from Parkinson's. Look into fantasy football. The reason I say that, just to keep your mind moving. Like a virtual game, so to speak, where you're your own general manager, and every day you're looking to make trades and buy players and drop players, and it's almost like a job during the football season, and it kind of keeps you busy. I absolutely love it. It keeps my mind occupied, and it's definitely a fun hobby to try. Just that's a little side note, but I will say, as far as the NFL goes, you know, your top teams are always going to be Kansas City Chiefs, your Philadelphia Eagles. You know, I'm a big Dolphins fan. I know you and I have spoke about that. I know you're down in Miami as well. But I will tell you one thing. I know I cannot wait to get Bernie on this show because there are certain times in life where you just remember where you were when something happened. And I remember, I want to say it was November 27th of 1994. I was a big Dolphins fan. And my idol growing up was Dan Marino. Absolutely loved Dan Marino as a quarterback. They were playing the Jets, and this is known as the fake spike game. They were losing at the time, Dan Marino's driving down. There's about 22 seconds left. And in football, if you want to stop the clock, the quarterback will take it and spike it and throw the football to the ground and stop the clock to give you time. It's called the fake spike because Dan Marino drops back. He fakes like he's going to spike the ball. He doesn't spike it, and he throws it in the end zone for a touchdown to Mark Ingram. And the reason I bring that up, I did not know until later on. Do you know who it was that gave him that idea? Mr. Bernie Kosar, when he was traded to the Miami Dolphins. He whispered that in Dan Marino's ear on the sideline and told him to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I cannot wait to ask him about that when we get him on the show.
Yeah, that's the best thing with sports is it kind of not only takes your mind off things and issues, but also brings memories, forever. Yep. I'm drowning in this jersey.
Yeah.
Not even that small.
Well, you weren't an offensive lineman. I guess that's safe to say.
No, I would probably have broken 20 million more things. So better off. I wanted to take a little quick moment and just tell everyone some more exciting news that we've now added all our shows beautifully to Together for Sharon. So if you go to togetherforsharon.com, click, I believe it's podcast, and then scroll down to All-Star PD Sportscast, and you'll see you can capture all the shows. The first one we ever did, one on which I had a lot of fun on basketball. Then we talked to Tim's physical therapist, was incredible, and then today's show. But they're all free. They're here. We're always looking for sponsors out there because we want this to sound like a cool real life type talk show on ESPN. You never know, someday, and in time you'll see this grow and grow and grow. Also, some incredible messages. Tim's going to also share them. But if you go to togetherforsharon.com and you click on I think it's media and then PD Warriors, because to me, Tim's a warrior and all these legends are warriors. You'll see a message from Mr. Favre to us all and to you, the community. And then, of course, we have Mr. Bernie. Well, he yelled at me, but Bernie Kosar, a little message.
Mr. Bernie, he's a friend.
Yeah, he's still going to yell at me because I'm still going to just, and then and he's a legend, legends of football. And then something to turn to, we're big on research because we do want to follow the facts and not provide incorrect information, although it changes every day. But back in 2023, even the Michael J. Fox Foundation did a whole entire article on playing football, increasing the odds of Parkinson's. So it's kind of a different touch on what we believe, at least I know I do, and I think Tim agrees that this show is really about fighting progression. But here we have a topic of football, it's kind of the opposite, where you're progressing it. It's an interesting, sport, and they do a lot of research. So if you go to Michael J. Fox, you can do a quick search and look a lot more about, here's a study said some important findings, but, there's not 100% factors, or it does show obviously risk. And the last article, I could talk for hours on articles, is Medical News Today. And ironically, Dr. Oken, who was on our show or my show before, one of the experts in Parkinson, did discuss how and according to him, it's critically important we collect and publish more data on concussions. And you can see, as Tim, you mentioned, the traumatic brain injury. I've seen some shows, like movies on Netflix, that were horrifying about this. And I think Aaron Rod or some of the other big time players talked about it, and just kind of shocking that just like some of the environment, we still have paraquat, which is banned in every country except for the U.S. and Australia, which I don't understand, which can actually poison people, cause possibly Parkinson's. It's not out; it's still there. So it's going to take everyone out there listening to join together, contact your representatives, and also for this show, contact your favorite sports teams, and let them know, you want more protection for the players. You love the game and all these topics, but you have to really remember these are, like Tim said, people. We don't want to see them have to also battle this in their retirement. A lot of them get it afterwards due to the head trauma, and you can see here some also more facts. So there's a lot of research out there. And again, maybe we'll have Dr. Dorsey and Dr. Oken on our show again someday, because they can bring some more insight to this area.
And I'll say one thing, George. You just brought up, you showed a very quick article there about how football could speed up the progression of Parkinson's. But here's the one thing I'll say too: that football players, guys like Bernie Kosar, that are legends, guys like Brett Favre, they could speed up the progression of bringing awareness to this disease, and they are. Little by little, the bigger names are getting out there. They're doing what they can. And like I said, we're going to show some snippets after the show of personal messages that they've sent to us. And you just touched upon something that I say all the time. You cannot forget these people are human beings as well. I know they're in the limelight. I know they make millions of dollars, but at the end of the day, these are two of the strongest willed people that you'll ever meet, as far as even on the field and off the field. You're going to see the one of the messages I saw from Brett Favre. He had just found out about his diagnosis, and he seemed dejected, and I can relate to that because I've been there. It's a tough thing to swallow. It's a tough thing to take in. But then you look at, you know, I urge people to watch the interview that you had with Bernie. And I'm not going to call him Mr. Kosa. I'm going to call him Bernie. And he speaks like he's your friend. He has such great information. He talks about how, how family members have let him down. He talks about how finding a good support system. He talks about the things you can do to better yourself. He's just like the regular you and I person with Parkinson's. People forget these guys are warriors, and big voices like that could go a long way to bringing awareness to this disease.
And I'm excited to have him on our show because, again, this is specifically completely different show. So if you want
Right.
a little bit about awareness in different areas, I'm more general, but this specifically is for football, for sports, and we're going to talk about some of the great memories. It's funny because, you don't tell legends things, but I told him before the show started, you'll probably laugh. We're not talking about football. So I told him, please come on this show. He agreed, and, we just have to figure a date because timing's tough. And
He's going to talk football on this show for sure, because I got a question.
yeah, only thing we're going to talk is football, about slowing the progression and also, unfortunately, speeding up the progression due to football. So it'll be very interesting talk. And like I always say, if everyone out there has someone like a guest or someone playing in any sport, reach out to us. We love to talk to them and bring them on the show. I do enjoy, no offense to our beautiful guest, just chatting with Tim
Sure.
and all of you because that's what this is about. But having a guest occasionally is nice. And, there's some big time people out there, unfortunately, with Parkinson's in sports. We've been trying to reach out. So if anyone knows them, I won't name them. But, I was shocked that, famous ice hockey or NHL player lost his father due to Parkinson's. I reached out. But, it's not easy to get response if they're busy and they have other people checking their systems and things. So,
Well, you know what it is too, George. It's partially that, and I think that down under too. Sometimes it's just tough to talk about, man. It really is. And that's why I give guys like, Brett Favre credit. I give guys like Bernie a huge ton of credit. And the one thing that you have as somebody who suffers from this, and it's a lot easier said than done. The biggest thing is keeping your mind right. You got to be willing to wake up every morning and fight the fight. And I know this has nothing to do with Parkinson's, but I go back to a game. I want to say it was in 2003, December. Brett Favre lost his dad, and they thought he was going to obviously miss the game. The next day, that man had the game of his life on Monday Night Football. Threw for 399 yards and I believe 4 touchdowns against the Raiders. That's because he had it right up here. Sometimes you got to know when to just flip that switch on and know that you're in a fight, keep your head on right, and just try to power through it. And some days are going to be harder than others. As a matter of fact, with Parkinson's, most days are going to be harder than others, but you got to keep your head on right. And those are two of the guys that I think are absolute, I'll say warriors, but even mental warriors as far as having their brains on the right way and ready to fight this great disease, no, unfortunate disease, I should say. These are great warriors.
And one interesting thing with Bernie is that he actually didn't really address it. A lot of the shows he's on are just talking about football. They don't even bring up Parkinson. So he actually told me on our show, now ours here soon, this is the first time he's using the platform and his legendary status to talk about Parkinson's, which is interesting because we met him in a very important time, but it helps him too, he said, to kind of cope and deal with this and also help other people who are now being diagnosed or those already diagnosed like yourself, because it's so important that we have individuals like him and other individuals that out there to get on the show.
George, I'll tell you the truth. I've probably watched your interview with Bernie about 5 times already.
Nice.
And I mean, listen, I love you to death, and I love Bernie Kosar to death, but it's the information that he brought was amazing. As far as his viewpoint on the environment and toxins and the supplements he puts in his body and what you fuel your body with, and some of the supplements that he uses in his own personal journey. I thought it was so informative, and I kept going back watching, and I was writing notes. And I was looking up some of the stuff that he was talking about. It was so great, man. I really can't wait to have him on.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to reach out. I do want to share one more area before we
Sure.
wrap up. But again, I'm a lawyer, so hopefully we won't get in trouble. But I like to just show, some of the NFL. If everyone's out there, go to NFL.com. We don't get not a paid
Yeah.
advertisement, but it's a lot of important information. You'll see really, what's happening today in the world of the NFL. Every show we do, Tim and I try to concentrate on one sport. And like I was saying, I can't believe how many sports are, and other exciting news is we don't know how long it'll take, but we've gathered some almost like superheroes from the Parkinson's community, and we'll be hopefully putting together a book. But this is a unique thing I've never seen, in my opinion. I always challenge everyone listening to reach out to me if I'm wrong, but there's no book, and hopefully no one takes it to you. But that really covers every single sport somebody live, either with Parkinson's or in the Parkinson's community, is going to touch on it, because I really want to just bring awareness to sports and slowing the progression. And it's just so important. I think, Tim, you're taking football, which is really important. And, we're having our first meeting soon on that. Just stay tuned for that. But again, here you can get your schedules, you can get latest updates. We don't have the time to go through the whole league, which I would like to do someday. Maybe when we get back around all the sports and start over again, we
Sure.
can do that. So, just more things about sports. This show really, to me, epitomizes the need for the talk just about sports and slowing the progression of Parkinson's. Maybe on a final note, you could talk about, I know we still have to do research, can football slow the progression? I think it only can if you remove the hitting, but
Yeah.
the athletic part, the running, the training, the all that, and the vitamins can, but then you kind of counteract it by the hitting, and these positions are. I don't they see myself doing that. Just your job is to get smashed.
Well, here's the one thing I'll say to that, and it's a double-edged sword because listen, at the end of the day, the NFL and football, let's call it what it is. It's a big business. It's one of the biggest businesses in the world. We all tune in. We all watch. They have games in London now. I was up at 9 a.m. watching the Giants play. It's great. You have football pretty much from Thursday night to Monday night, and we love it. And a lot of people complain about, oh, they changed the rules and there's no hitting. But you know what? You're also not the one later in life that has to deal with all those hits that you took. It's again, I know it's a big business. I know it's great entertainment, but there's nothing more important than the safety of those players that are playing. And I know in the moment when they're making millions of dollars and they're on ESPN, making great highlights, nobody cares. But there's a lot of bad stories that were a result of a lot of concussions from some very, very great players during the duration of their careers, and that's what they need to work on. And I think that they are little by little they are. They're working on the padding, they're working on the rules to make less hits. They're working on a lot of the kickoff sequences and how they do kickoffs where guys are just running at each other a million miles an hour. So I think that they're taking strides. I don't think they're anywhere close to where they should be yet, but they're trending in the right direction. And the player's health is more important than anything at this point.
Yeah, I'd love to see more research on how the NFL aids individuals through these different areas, not just sitting them out or, forcing them to take a break, but, during the sport when they're, hit the protocol. Plus, beyond that, I'm doing a lot of research in the law enforcement world for a book I'm working on, and most departments don't even talk about it. It's
I'm sure.
it's after they retire though, then they get it, and then it's like they're on their own. So really curious, and I don't think there's enough research on it, what the NFL might be doing, if anything, with players like the two you mentioned or we've talked to, now after they're retired. So on LinkedIn, you can join NFL. You should do. I don't know if you're on there, everyone. You can type in NFL and you'll be able to connect with a lot of people from the NFL, maybe just, like representatives and things. I've been trying to, meet some to come on the show. We really need to get an NFL representative. It doesn't matter a player or not, could be someone who's even just this broadcasting, just to talk to them, about this. Also, do want to commend you for your incredible work with getting a message, and maybe we can also play that before the show when you're adding the intro, but from legend Lou Holtz, which we need him on the show. Of course, he's not, he doesn't have Parkinson, but having people like him out there talking about these issues is very, very important. A funny one when we get to the topic of wrestling, and I got one for us for Ric Flair, but he kind of read the message, which is not what I love the ones that you did, and Lou Holtz was beautiful, and he's again college football legend who I think would have a lot of amazing insight. So maybe someday, we can get him. I also reached out to who's on one of I think the Michael J. Fox Patient Council, who was the former founder or head of the entire ESPN, which would be
Wow.
yeah, so there's people out there just working on getting them, and if everyone's listening, if you know them, because I know a lot of the Parkinson's community knows them, he released a book a year ago. We missed that little span, he's out there and he's speaking about Parkinson's, and imagine having, the ESPN founder.
Well, listen, that's what this is all about, George. I mean, listen, as much as people love us and we love each other, we're not adults. We're not Bernie Kosar. We're not Michael J. Fox. I mean, these people have put the time in and are great at their craft to get the spotlight on them that they have. They have to use it to bringing a cure and to bringing awareness to this disease. And names like that certainly are.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to see if you had any final thoughts on NFL and football, on slowing the progression, or unfortunately, in this topic, I hope only we might see it maybe in Ultimate Fighting if we get to that topic. But most sports, I believe, slow the progression, not excel it. And again, it's always an honor to be with you. I think next month we're
Like,
covering another credible sport, baseball, and then I hope hockey, because those are the big ones, but they don't stop there because there's so many. They're actually making a funny movie, I believe, with Ben Stiller on pickleball. So, and he always does that.
now we got to get Ben Stiller on.
I want Vince Vaughn. My wife will tell you, Vince Vaughn's my legend. We just watched for the holiday bet. I think it's a bet. Fred Claus, like for
Sure.
the 600th time I've seen it, and I'll keep watching. He's
And 4 Christmases too.
and also, but he had dodgeball. That was great.
Yeah.
We'll have a show on dodgeball one day.
Listen, speaking of injuries and concussions, I'm sure the viewers want to know what is the latest with you? You're like the $6 million man. Every time you come on, you've had a new surgery. You got
Unfortunately, I don't want them, but the back is not great. But we're leaving it for a year to see how it goes. The ankle, I had surgery a month or two, and they fixed 3 ligaments. But I don't know if it's just the medical people I'm going to. It didn't work, so that's for January. The shoulder is kind of healing. I won't know, but they said they did it. They got it, and the thigh is still numb, which just at least it's not pain. It's odd stuff. No, I've been an athlete my whole life. Played in college basketball, very short time due to grades, which we won't talk about. I lived for basketball. I played it. My favorite thing in the world was running. And with my wife, we did so many 5Ks, and my dream was to run, like even with Team Fox or something. Just we've done a few 5Ks for Parkinson's, but it was just us for Parkinson's. The actual run wasn't. But I really, my dream really was to run with my daughter one day, and unfortunately that didn't. I don't know if that'll ever happen. So,
well, we're still going to keep up hope for that.
yeah.
But the one thing I do know is as long as that microphone works and as long as your voice works, you're going to be out there advocating, just like me. And that's what I love about you, brother.
And we do this spontaneous. That's why I love that was the alarm that we're starting our show, which we came earlier, but it's just important that we do this live in a way. I like no script. That's my other show is same thing. But sports, again, we can say it every show because it's true. Every sport's so unique, so different. Today's was interesting because again, it shows both sides, which most might not. But as I always worry, we're going to run our shows, and I think of how many sports
it'll never happen.
And they keep coming up with more. If we get one when we run out, we'll head to the Olympics, and there's like 4 million.
I was going to say, you have to do is watch the Olympics every year. Every 4 years, there's sports that I've never heard of. So we'll have plenty to talk about for sure.
I do want to apologize for me and Tim. I don't think we'll be able to keep up with the get-up stuff. I know hockey and baseball, yes, and pickleball. I have a beautiful shirt that we have a guest. I have someone who might want to come on. She's a professional pickleball player.
Cool.
Yeah, she's amazing, but she'll definitely come on. So, we'll keep going. We'll keep fighting. It's an honor as always to be with you, just to hang out, and hope everybody at least gained a little bit more knowledge about sports, about the progression, and stay tuned because we will have Bernie on. It's just a matter of maybe a few weeks. I'm going to text him. It sounds odd, and I can't provide his information ever. So I've found so many. Today, someone asked me if they can have Michael J. Fox's number. I don't have it. If I had it, he would be sitting with us now.
He'd be on here with us.
Yeah, exactly.
One day. I'm not giving up hope.
Yeah, another open call for Mr. Brian Grant and Mr. Kirk Gibson, because I love to have them on. I'm actually meeting with the Kirk Gibson Foundation on my show, so hopefully, I think it's his son, but that would be beautiful. Even if you're family, we love to have you on. It doesn't necessarily have to be the athlete; it could be the family, because as you know better than me, the family, in my case, my mother, is affected greatly, unfortunately, by Parkinson's. So again, there's just so much more to talk about, so much more to come, and we're going to be together side by side in this fight until the cure is at all our doorsteps.
We sure will. The only thing I hope for is that next time you have a smaller jersey.
Thanks. Well, it's only football.
I hope your baseball jersey is smaller than that one.
Yeah, I actually had a nice Marlins one, but years ago, I think I tossed it. I don't know why. We'll improvise. But I really appreciate your time and everyone out there. We send our love. We thank you for your support. We need you to please share this. We don't get anything and want anything except that to gain awareness for sports. Because I don't, again, see that, we have talks. Like the other day, I had incredible guests on my show, and he does Rock City Boxing. So maybe one day we'll have their organization on our show. But he was so important because there's so many people. I mean, it's an international organization, Rock Steady, but people don't even know about it, and that's
Yeah,
heartbreaking.
news for you. I do it. It's a lot harder than you think.
I know, but I want, I joked and said he need until they have like 20 million, followers, not us, them. I'm not gonna be satisfied. So, we keep fighting, we keep doing this, and hopefully the viewers enjoy it. If you don't, let us know. If you do, let us know. If you have topics you want us to talk about, email
Sure.
us. The most important thing is you can reach Tim at it's MYPD Party on Instagram and every single social media. You could tell us a little bit more how you can be reached. And for me, if you just go to togetherforsharon.com, you'll be able to find me and link to all of our social media. But we don't, this is not about Together for Sharon. This is about Tim and I and about the All-Star PD Sportscast, which we thought of just a few months ago, and it's really taken off. Taken off to something bigger than us. And I do feel in a year or two, or even if it takes 10, this is going to be, around the world, and we want everyone to be a part of it.
I think it's a great thing that we've come up with here. I think it's building slowly but surely, certainly quicker than we thought, which is a great thing because that means we're doing a job advocating for this disease, and that's what this is all about. And that's why we do what we do. Like you mentioned, the My PD Party. That's why I started. When I was diagnosed, the biggest thing was I know I needed doctors, I know I needed medicine, I needed advice, but nobody truly understands what you're going through unless you're going through it or you're a caregiver or somebody going through it. So if the biggest thing that we could do is bring awareness to this disease and bring people together that could share stories and success stories to ease people's minds, then we've done our part.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate it. And I was joking with you, Tim, that I ran into a few famous sports athletes over the year, and we didn't have the show. I walked, and one of the NBA literal players lives in my neighborhood, and I saw him one day, and I just drove by. I'm not gonna, he was huge. Like, I think it was one of the brothers from he was former Miami Heat player. And now I would have asked him, and also Lisa Leslie I met, and I was speaking to her, but we didn't have the show. So,
Well,
but
we do now, so get jogging again.
yeah, we'll have to try and run by them and so many others too over the years. But
Well,
uh, and also we don't want just individuals, who have Parkinson's. We want people who aren't aware too. Any athlete out there in college, professional, retired, current, we want them all because this is an important topic for everyone, not just individuals who are affected, because really the community is affected. Families, caregivers, care partners, caretakers, and of course, most important is the individual diagnosed, like my friend and brother Tim, and in memory of my mother and all those we've lost. But thankfully, we will have one more show before the holiday. That's going to be a big show. I think I'll bring my Santa hat, and we'll definitely wish everyone a beautiful holiday, New Year's, and so many exciting things coming up too for next year. So this has been another episode of All Star PD Sportscast with me, Sharon St. George, and Tim. You can find him in my PD Party, but please stay tuned. Please share this. And, the more you support us, the more we'll be able to support you back and get some incredible guests and some really important topics. And we just send our love and support. We're going to have to come up with a little end of the show phrase together, because I don't want to use, mine is great. We send our love and support, which is true, but that's from my show. So maybe we'll work on that and incorporate it at the end of every show. But the best message really is just never stop fighting, because
right.
Tim and I will be right by your side no matter what until the cure is at all doorsteps. So thanks, Tim, for your friendship, the love. I send it right back to you and everybody listening. We're so grateful. Can't do this without you. So thanks again.
Thank you. And like the great Jimmy Valvano once said, don't give up, don't ever give up.
I love that. You can't end the show better. So thanks again, everyone. We'll stay tuned. We'll be back. Got to find a baseball laying around the house next. Finding
Oh, a smaller jersey.
or a bat. I used to have a baseball bat signed by Reggie Jackson, but that's missing.
And now you have something to do until our next podcast.
All right. I love you all. And by next time I pray, my shoulder will be 100%. And we'll be able to do that. All right. Love you all. Thanks.
Love you guys. Thank you.
What's up, Tim? Or should I say,
What's shaking? Well, it's Brett Favre. Yeah, I'm joining the club, the PD club. It's all good, though, as you know, Tim. As we battle this disease, we do what we can. We help others, whatever it takes. But maybe someday in the near future, I'll get on your podcast and we can talk about it. Have some fun, laugh a little bit, talk about what the latest technology is. I'm actually going to see a doctor as we speak. I'm on the plane. So God bless. And let's shake. I love it. We'll talk soon, hopefully on the podcast. God bless. What's up, Tim?
Bernie Kosar here. Unfortunately, as a new member to our Parkinson's community, I wanted to reach out to you today to say hi from myself, and not to create awareness for myself, but to reach out to our Parkinson's community on behalf of myself and from George, who unfortunately lost his mother and friend to this terrible disease. And George, I can't thank you enough for you wanting to bring awareness and help to so many people like myself and your mother and friend who unfortunately suffered from this type of disease.
Hello, everyone within the Parkinson's community. I am a new member. We're going to beat this. We're going to fight. I have to admit, it was a devastating initial diagnosis, but I'm okay. And we are all going to fight. We're going to unite. We're going to find a way to chip away at this disease and hopefully find a cure. As I found out, it's a big community, but there's a lot of hope, and there's a lot of people who are willing to fight.